Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of This Week with Mallory. For those who are watching on YouTube or Twitter, a bit of a technical difficulty in the stream was not picking up on our Facebook page. So we are starting again. For those who are new, welcome. I am State Senator Mallory McMorrow, and we typically do these live streams just about every Friday that the Senate is in session. And if you are wondering where we've been, the Michigan Senate has not had that many session days. So the legislature typically goes into an in-district work period during the summer. And then during election year, there are more days that we are out in our districts as members are campaigning, because this is a big election year. Not only are all of the races at the top of the ticket, governor, attorney general, secretary of state up, but the entire legislature is up as well. So that is every member of the Senate and every member of the House, which is where we are going to start because it is an election year. So we are going to bring on Liz and talk you through a little bit of what we have going on. Liz, welcome. Welcome back. It's been a while since we've done a live stream. So Liz is here. She is going to show you if her camera will work. Man, we are really struggling with the technical difficulties.
It's supposed to be.
Oh my goodness. We are all trying our best. We're all trying our best, everybody. It's fall. We've got however many days left. 25 days left until the election. We're keeping it together.
All right.
All right. Liz is here to show you our office sent out. If you are in our district, you may have received one of these in the mail, our election mailer. So Liz, can you hold up our beautiful election mailer? I can see you. It's working. If you can't see yourself for some reason.
Am I on?
Oh boy, we're going into.
Oh.
Yes, you're on. You're on.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
I can see you. Fantastic. All right. So Liz has our handy dandy election mailer. You may have received one of these in your mailbox. If you haven't, all right, I'm going to drop Liz and I'm going to pull it up on the website because it looks like we are having a tough time, you guys. So our election mailer, it is nonpartisan. It just contains information that you will need to know to vote in this year's elections. So let me go ahead and see if I can pull up another tab for you. Bear with us. We are doing this all on the fly, producing live streams. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, this one looks a little less aesthetically pleasing than the physical mailer that we sent to mailboxes. But if you visit our website, which is senatormcmorrow.com or senators.com/McMorrow, you can go under the news tab. And then the most recent news item that we have up is your guide to vote. Like I said, this is an official nonpartisan resource that is available to you. And it gives you everything you need to know to vote and vote confidently in this year's election. So I'm just going to give you a scroll through of this. You can see what's on here. If you remember nothing else about this, all you need to know is michigan.gov/vote. Remember that. We will make sure that we send this out to you, michigan.gov/vote. You can type in your name, your address to look up your voting information, check whether or not you're registered, find your polling place, view a sample ballot, and get information about absentee voting, early voting. Everything you need to know is up on that website at michigan.gov/vote. And a lot of people have been surprised to see how many judicial offices are on their ballot this year. So make sure you give yourself some time to review your ballot, whether you're voting absentee or you're voting in person on election day. And we have all of that information here. If you want to vote on election day, polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Once again, if you go to michigan.gov/vote, you can find where your polling place is. Be aware that sometimes your polling location may have changed. So make sure you check in on that before you go. As information about voter ID requirement, Michigan does have a voter ID requirement, but if you do have an ID on you when you get to the polls, you can request a provisional ballot, sign an affidavit of identity, and you are still allowed to vote. So make sure you know that. Sometimes the volunteers who are working the polls are unaware of that aspect of our law. Key date to remember. Monday, October 24th is the last day to register in any manner other than in person with the local clerk. And this in 2018, we legalized same day registration. So you still have registration up to the same day, but October 24th is the last day to register in any manner other than in person with your clerk. Friday, November 4th is the deadline for absentee ballot applications. And of course, Tuesday, November 8th is the general election. You must make sure to vote on election day or get your absentee ballot into a drop box or your office by the time the polls close at 8 p.m. We've got information up here on registering to vote, what happens if you've got a change of address, voters who require voting assistance, especially for voters who are disabled. You are legally allowed to bring somebody to assist you when you are voting to make sure that you know what your rights are when voting. We've got information on voters in the military and outside the United States to make that all of those who are serving our state and our country can exercise their right to vote. Tons of information on absentee voting and absentee ballots, along with absentee deadlines. So plenty of information there. If you've got our handy dandy mailer that came in the mail, fantastic. Use that. Put it up on your fridge. If not, we have copies that are available in local libraries all throughout the district. So if you are thinking to yourself, man, I saw that thing come in through the mail. Maybe you threw it in the recycling bin. Maybe you didn't get one and you really would like one. Check out your local library if you are a resident of the 13th Senate District, and we've got copies there for you. They're beautiful. They're in full color. And they're really, really helpful. We got a ton of good feedback on them last year when we did them, or in 2020 during the last election cycle. Okay. We also wanted to do something to be helpful during this live stream and go through the 3 ballot proposals that will be on your ballot. And we're going to talk through these in a very factual, nonpartisan way just to describe what they are. So Prop 1 is a proposal to amend the state constitution to require annual public financial disclosure reports by legislators and other state officers and change state legislator term limits to 12 total years in the legislature. I've gotten a number of questions about this, and people want to know what this actually does and how it changes things, and you know, kind of where I stand on it. So right now, Michigan has some of the tightest term limits for legislators in the entire country. Currently, you can serve 3 2-year terms in the state house and 2 4-year terms in the state Senate. And the other piece of this ballot proposal is that we are one of only 2 states, believe it or not, that does not require any personal financial disclosure for legislators. We are ranked tied at the bottom for ethics and transparency. And this is one aspect that I think is really important, because while we do advise legislators to recuse themselves if there is something that is a conflict of interest, there's nothing that really requires you as the voter to know if we've got financial interest in certain issues to require. So this is something that I do support. When it comes to the term limits piece of it, I know that term limits on their face, when I talk to people, seems really attractive. We want to make sure that we have fresh ideas and new voices, and we don't have career politicians. Totally get that. What we have seen in Lansing is that the turnover is so frequent, especially in the state house, that there's kind of a joke that you have a lot of people who don't even know where the bathroom is. And as we're thinking about long-term issues, things like road funding is a good example. These are issues that require thought and policy proposals that are going to last significantly longer than 6 years or 8 years when you're thinking about long-term solutions. And we often see legislators cycle out very, very quickly and into their next job. There is a really high level of turnover of legislators going into the lobby corps, for example. And we have seen legislators take votes in their last term that may not necessarily benefit their residents. So right now, the way that it's structured, like I said, it's 6 years total in the House, 8 years total in the Senate. So this amendment on Prop 1 would actually reduce the total years that a legislator can serve in Lansing from 14 years to 12 years. But it would allow a legislator to serve all of those 12 years in either one chamber or both chambers as they wish. So the idea is that you will get more institutional knowledge. You will give legislators a longer time to get good at their jobs, figuring out how things actually work without being kind of pushed through the system as quickly as we have right now. Because we've seen that when you think about how long it takes to get into any job and really get your feet under you and learn how to do your job well, that does take some time. And if you're pushed out pretty quickly, that doesn't really give you time to build up that core competency. And what we've seen in Lansing is that the people who often have the most institutional knowledge are the lobbyists who have been there a lot longer than most legislators. All right, moving on. Proposal 2 is a proposal to amend the state constitution to add provisions regarding elections. And a lot of people know that this is the voting rights proposition, but they don't know what it is. So we're going to run through what is in Prop 2. So the proposed constitutional amendment would recognize the fundamental right to vote without harassing conduct, require military or overseas ballots be counted if postmarked by Election Day, provide voters rights to verify their identity with a photo ID or a signed statement. So it's really just tightening up the language that we already have in law right now. Provide the voter a right to a single application to vote absentee in all elections. So right now, if you are registered to vote absentee, you still have to manually request an absentee ballot every single cycle with your clerk. I know some people may have signed up to vote via absentee ballot for the first time in 2020 after we legalized no reason absentee voting in 2018. And I've heard people wondering, why haven't I gotten my absentee ballot? It's because you have to request that ballot every single time. So this would amend that so that you no longer have to do that request application as long as you are on the absentee list, that you would receive your absentee ballot each election cycle. This would also require state-funded absentee ballot drop boxes and postage for absentee applications and ballots. Right now, some of our municipalities have funding for drop boxes, but if you cut kind of out into more rural Michigan, it's really hard to find a drop box. So this would really level the playing field. Last cycle in Oakland County, the county did decide to provide postage for absentee ballot to be returned, but that's not unified throughout the state. So this would level the playing field and make sure postage is included for those who want to vote absentee. This would also require 9 days of early in-person voting, which I've started to see people are using it right now, going into their clerk's office to request an absentee ballot where you can vote right on the spot there. This would put this into the Constitution where you have 9 days of guaranteed early in-person voting, which would help bring the lines down, make sure you're less likely to see voter intimidation at the polls. This would also allow donations to fund elections, which must be disclosed, and require canvass boards certify election results based only on the official records of votes cast. So there's a lot in there to strengthen voting rights. Finally, Prop 3, a proposal to amend the state constitution to establish new individual rights to reproductive freedom, including the right to make all decisions about pregnancy and abortion, allow the state to regulate abortion in some cases, and forbid prosecution of individuals exercising the established right. The proposed constitutional amendment would establish new individual right to reproductive freedom, including the right to make and carry out all decisions about pregnancy, such as prenatal care, childbirth, postpartum care, contraception, sterilization, abortion, miscarriage management, and infertility, would allow the state to regulate abortion after fetal viability, but not prohibit if medically needed to protect a patient's life or physical or mental health. And it would also forbid state discrimination in the enforcement of this right, prohibit the prosecution of an individual or a person helping a pregnant individual or exercising rights established by this amendment, and invalidate state laws conflicting with this amendment. Now, there's a lot of messaging out there right now about what this would do, and I want to be very, very clear. So Prop 3, this is the Reproductive Rights and Abortion Amendment that voters collected over 700,000 valid signatures to get on the ballot. And this effectively codifies Roe into state law, protects the right to an abortion up to the point of of viability, but it does not prohibit the legislature from putting in reasonable legislation surround that. So anything you're hearing kind of beyond that is not accurate, and it's not what is in Prop 3. All right. We are coming up on time. This is going to be a 30-minute coffee hour, so a coffee half hour. So we want to fly through what else we have left. Updates from the Capitol the last session day. There was a supplemental budget passed, which includes $846 million into the SOAR fund. This is an economic development tool that has been used to prepare site readiness for things like EV battery plants throughout the state. There's also $72 million towards the state health department, $15 million towards the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, and $12 million in new appropriations for the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. This was something that Governor Whitmer held a press conference about and signed just here in Southfield in Oakland County a few days ago. And this is really great to significantly increase the number of young people who can afford to attend college. Starting with the class of 2023, high school graduates will be eligible for more financial aid from the state, which includes up to $2,750 if they attend a community college per year, $5,500 if they attend a public Michigan university per year, or $4,000 if they attend a private college or university per year. So this is going to go a long way to ensuring that high schoolers, more of them, more students all throughout Michigan can afford to attend college, community college, university, and attain those post-high school degrees that are so essential for so many of the jobs that are available today. They're guaranteed. All right, so what's left on the table? So you may have seen that there was a fairly large surplus amount of dollars in the state this year between federal dollars and surplus in taxes included. So what's left? So this was about $1 billion in the latest supplemental budget. So there is about $6 billion left to use through the end of the year. Some of these are federal funds through programs like ARPA. And with some of these, if we don't use them and appropriate them through the state legislature, then we will lose them. So we will keep you posted on when we are slated to meet again to appropriate those funds to get them out. And this is just a good to know for how a lot of these things work. So when you hear about the federal government passing something like ARPA or the bipartisan infrastructure bill, what happens with those dollars is they come from the federal government back to states, but they don't go immediately back into our communities. It is up to state legislatures to take those funds and then appropriate them out through the appropriations process to get them out into our communities. So that is how things play. So when you see the news of something like the bipartisan infrastructure bill pass and you're looking at your community and you're like, how come these projects aren't happening yet? It's because that is the multi-step process that takes. So I will be encouraging my colleagues to make sure that we do not leave any dollars on the table, especially federal dollars, and that we appropriate them out before we lose them. One other notable piece of legislation that passed, Senate Bill 184, is the Filter First legislation package, which creates the Clean Water Drinking Access Act. It would apply to both public and non-public schools, and it would require schools to develop and implement a drinking water safety plan. The plan would include the locations of drinking water outlets for human consumption, locations where filtered faucets will be maintained, and locations where outlets will be taken out of service, and locations where filtered bottle filling stations will be installed. It would also require an annual water sampling and testing plan and the regular schedule of replacement of the filtered faucet and filtered bottle water station cartridges. Now, if you're listening to all of this and you're like, okay, what does this actually mean? Well, as we know in Michigan, and throughout the country, that we have seen a rise in lead in drinking water, first in Flint, but then Michigan lowered the lead standard. Michigan now has the strictest and safest lead level legislation in the entire country. So the lead and copper rule went into effect a few years ago, and we started to see even communities in our district testing above the acceptable level of lead in our water. So as the state goes through the process of replacing all lead service lines, what this does is really serve as the stopgap, especially in schools, to make sure that all of our kids have access to safe drinking water by putting in filtered water drinking stations, requiring those be in schools, to make sure that as this process goes, it's going to take years to make sure that all of our communities can replace all of those lead service lines. And this is going to be an issue not only in Michigan, but all around the country, just because this is how we built our infrastructure. And we know that there is no level of lead that is safe for human consumption. So this is that stopgap to require that in schools, there's filtered water to make sure that all of our kids have safe water to drink. Lastly, update from our office. We introduced Senate Bill 1198 as part of a larger maternal health package. My bill would require mental health screenings for new mothers as a part of their baby's 4-week, 8-week, 6-month, and 18-month checkups. It would also require a list of mental health resources provided to the mother at their 4-week checkup. This is something that I have heard from a lot of people who feel really alone in the postpartum phase. I know that I went through this when I had Noah, where I really struggled and trying to figure out, what's normal, what's a part of the baby blues. I wish we called it something else that feels really dismissive of the feelings that you go through, and what's actually postpartum depression, and having a more open conversation and ability for women and mothers to check in with their doctors. So I'm really proud of this bill. We'll keep you posted if this moves forward. Finally, we just wanted to talk about a bill that a lot of you have reached out to us with concerns about. This is Senate Bill 1191, known as the Right to Ride bill. So constituents have contacted our office about this bill. It was introduced by Senator Jim Runstead, and it would modify a statewide network of trails and right to ride horses on certain lands. So I will say a majority of the constituents in our district who have reached out are bikers, mountain bikers, who are concerned that if equestrians and horseback riders have access to so many of these trails, that it will create unsafe riding environments for those who are mountain bikers. So thank you for everybody who has sent these in. We are tallying all of the outreach on these bills. We are unaware if this bill is slated to be taken up at this time, but we will certainly keep everybody posted if we learn more. Finally, before we get into Q&A, I do want to share. Oh my goodness, I lost our slideshow. Liz, if you can hear it, if you can drop the link into Slack, I will pull it up right now. We're making it through, everybody. We are making it through this Friday. All right, I'm going to pull up some slides to share with you. We've got some good news heading into my favorite time of year, Halloween, and some great events in the community that we want to make sure you know about. First up, Bookley Nights. If you have not driven through downtown Berkeley and seen all of the skeletons in costumes doing different activities, I cannot tell you how much joy it brings me. So kudos to Berkeley on the downtowns. I just absolutely love them. And I absolutely love how many local businesses are participating in this and dressing up the skeletons in a way that reflects their businesses. It's super cute. So there are a lot of really great events coming up in Berkeley. There's restaurant weekend that passed through October 1st. So coming up is, what day is today? We've got October 21st is the Ghost Chase, which is the mix between a road rally, the Amazing Race, and spooky fun. October 29th, Trick or Treat Stroll, collect candy at participating downtown businesses. And also October 29th, the Monster Mash, a block party along Coolidge between 12 Mile and Catalpa. So check that out in Berkeley. In downtown Clawson, Trick or Treasure. I took Noah this last year when she was much smaller than she is now. So this is trick-or-treating in downtown Clawson. There are so many fun prizes and participating small businesses. So check that out Saturday, October 29th from noon to 2 p.m. And then finally, the Royal Oak Downtown Spooktacular and Monster Mash Party on Washington. And this will be Sunday, October 23rd from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Includes trick-or-treating, cider and donuts, decorating a mini pumpkin, photo at a booth, face painting, games. You can learn more at spookyroyaloak.com. That takes us through everything on the agenda this week. Liz, hopefully we've gotten some of your technical difficulties sorted out. I can see you now, so that's a positive.
I think it was because I had our Facebook there too. So,
Uh,
but
too
here's
many
our
things at
election
once.
mail.
Oh my goodness. There it is. There's our election mailer for those who haven't seen it. Check that out. So, Liz, it's been a little while. What do we have for any questions or comments this week?
Yeah, a lot of the comments are just, praising you as an elected official and thanking you for using your voice. One of the things I think that we should speak about is Christine. She talked about Vote 411. That's a really great resource to use if people are trying to get their ballot and know what's on there.
Absolutely. Yeah, Christine, thank you so much. And for those who don't know, so a lot of people are reaching out and they're like, oh my goodness, there are so many things on my ballot. I don't even know where to start to find these. And it can be daunting to try to find every candidate's website. Some candidates do not even have websites to try to find all this information. So if you're looking for a good place to start to get access, not only to your voter info, but also questionnaires from a lot of the candidates, vote411.org. It's created by the League of Women Voters. It's a nonpartisan resource, and it's just a really wonderful place to get started as you are looking towards what's on your ballot this cycle. So thanks for that recommendation.
And then Sarah asked, when you were speaking about Proposal 1, if you are able to provide your stance in this capacity.
In my
on
official
each
capacity, yeah. So because these are actually, for those who don't know, there's a wall that's kind of up between our official office and me as a person in a political capacity, which is a very strange thing to wrap your head around because I'm one person, but I always sort of have to separate between the two sides. So this live stream, because it does stream on our official stateside YouTube page as well, I cannot share my stance here, but be sure to check it out on Twitter, and I will be happy to share my stance there.
And the last comment I'll say, Melissa just commented that her 18-year-old daughter will be voting for the first time.
Yay! I'm so excited. Oh my God. I hope she's excited in Clawson. That's so cool. I remember my first time voting. God, I'm going to sound so old. But so one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot is I've talked to so many high schoolers and young people in my time in office who are so passionate about so many issues. And man, that first time that you get to vote, that is really the first time where you get to be a part of it. You get to decide and change the direction of your communities and your state and your country. And I will also be the first to say it's going to take some time. Things don't change right away. But I always try to tell people, if you don't vote, you are giving your vote to somebody else. And it is likely somebody who does not share all of the same beliefs as you. So, Melissa, I'm so excited for your daughter. Yay. And for everybody who is voting for the first time. Happy first voting.
Your mom also just said hi in the comments.
Oh, hi, Mom. We're back. All right. Any other questions before we wrap up for the week? Okay. Well,
No
Liz, I mean, I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Do you have any big plans for the weekend?
I am running the Freep International Half Marathon, so hopefully I survive it.
Yay! Okay, anybody who's still tuned in, please type some words of support in the comments for Liz, who is running the Detroit Free Press Half Marathon. She is running over the bridge to Canada and then coming back through the tunnel. It's awesome. I've done it twice, and I'm just super, super pumped for Liz. So, Liz, good luck. Get some rest. Eat a bunch of pasta. Oh, and I see Jane's in there too. Just want to have a recognition. October is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we will make sure to share resources as well. We have been throughout the month, but thank you, Jane, for putting that in there. I see notes popping in for Liz. So I'm going to leave this up for like just a few few seconds more to get those words of affirmations in. And then you can collapse on the other side of it. And
I can't wait.
what it does need to do. You're going to be great. Yay. All right. That's it. Liz, good luck. Okay, everybody. That wraps up our This Week with Mallory. Thanks for coming back, for tuning in, for bearing with us with our technical difficulties. Man, it's been a while, so we're a little bit rusty, but we got through it together. Thank you so much. Make sure you have a plan to vote. Once again, michigan.gov/vote. Check your registration, check your sample ballot, make sure you participate. It is a big election year. Happy Halloween, and we will see you next time.